Hey there, it's Pam. I'm just here today to make people angry. I'm sorry in advance for that. Today we're talking about learning styles. Hi, my name is Pam Barnhill, and I have helped thousands of homeschoolers create doable systems, beat burnout, and bring more joy to their homeschool days. And yep, we're talking about learning styles. And if you are a fan, you're probably not going to like me when this is all over. But if you are a little bit confused and wondering, how in the world can I fit everything into my child's preferred learning style when I have 3 kids and I'm just going to go crazy? You're going to get a lot out of this one that you're going to enjoy. So let's talk a little bit about this idea of learning styles. And does it really matter in your homeschool? Well, the idea is there are like 4 different learning styles. There used to be only 3, but somebody decided, hey, let's come up with another one. Kinesthetic, which is movement-based learning style. By doing something, you learn something better. Visual, which means you learn something better if you see it. Auditory, which means you learn something better if you hear it. And then the last one that they've kind of developed recently is tactile, which means you learn with any and all of your senses, which is kind of a repeat of the other ones I don't quite understand. So it's a huge buzzword. This idea of learning styles is a really big buzzword in education, and it's also a big buzzword in homeschool education as well. Actually, there are entire curriculums out there that are developed that you can purchase with your hard-earned money that help you to cater to your child's learning style. Because the idea is that if you teach your child how they best learn, they're going to actually learn better. I'm sorry. It's just not true. Actually, it's not supported by evidence. That's what I could tell you. So a great book on this topic is Daniel Willingham's Why Don't Students Like School? And in here, he breaks down this whole idea of learning styles and talks about the fact that they have not been able to prove, despite the fact that they've tried time and time again, they haven't been able to prove that a child learning by their preferred learning style actually helps them know something better. This is really interesting. So basically what Willingham ends up saying through the book, and it's a fascinating read. There are a lot of other things in here to read, great things in there to read about. But basically what he says is most of the things that we teach our children, the thing itself is best taught and learned in a certain way. So when you think about something like learning the shapes of countries on a map, and you say, well, my child is an auditory learner, so how am I going to help that child learn the shapes of those countries or learn where they are on a map? Well, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to verbally tell that child that information. It really makes a lot more sense to visually present that information. And, a lot of things can be presented in more than one way. For example, stories. You could present stories orally. You can also present stories visually. I happen to like to read stories better than I like to sit and listen to stories. But, the thing is most material is better presented in a specific way. So you're not going to really do auditory equations in algebra for the most part. Most people aren't. They're just going to do it visually. And some things are great presented in a more kinesthetic manner. And then, of course, there are a lot of things that can be presented in multiple ways. So what does this mean for us as homeschooling parents? And I really just invite you to go dig into Willingham's research and look at all of that. But here's what it means to you. First of all, don't go out and buy a curriculum because you feel like you're going to be able to reach your child at their learning style better. And don't tie yourself up in knots trying to find activities for your kids to meet a specific learning style if you think, oh, they're an auditory learner or, oh, they're a kinesthetic learner. Do keep in mind that these styles are really preferences. And so as preferences, we want to do a couple of things. The first thing is it's okay to teach to your child's preference when it makes sense for the material. So if you have a child who loves to listen to stories and seems to remember those stories because they've listened to them, then have them listen. But then if you have children who really don't like to listen to stories, they'd much rather prefer to sit and read them themselves, that's okay too. Though I will say there are a lot of benefits to hearing somebody else read aloud, even for really good readers. We can get into that another day. So it's okay to cater to that child's preference. And if you have young children, it's really great for them to get up and move at all times. Movement is wonderful for young kids. So it's okay to cater to that preference every now and then. It's okay to try a different style if your kid is getting stuck. If your child just is really struggling to learn something, do it a different way. Have them get up and jump up and down on a trampoline while they spell the spelling words out loud. If it helps them, that's wonderful. The point is not how they learn the spelling words, but that they can give you the spelling words back, or that they memorize the multiplication tables or whatever. So try those different learning styles. On the other hand, what I don't want you to do is to get so caught up in this idea of learning styles that you are only catering to one learning style all the time. Because when your child leaves your homeschool and goes into the real world to do things like take a class online or go to college or work at a job, they don't get asked, I'm sorry, what's your preferred learning style? How would you like to learn this? Instead, the information is just presented to them in the way that it's presented to them. And so what we really need to do is strengthen the other modalities. So if you have somebody who is really a visual learner or really an auditory learner, they prefer that method, it's okay to strengthen up the other styles sometime, especially for things that are easier for them to learn. In summary, there's absolutely no scientific proof whatsoever that one particular teaching to a child's particular learning preference helps them to learn anything better. Sorry, I know that's where you're going to disagree with me. Go get the book and have a look at it. He explains it really well in there. So don't go out and spend money on this. Don't tie yourself up in knots trying to teach this way and feel like you're failing your kids if you're not. Use their preferences to your advantage when you want to, but also strengthen up those non-preferences as well, so that when they are confronted with not being able to use their preferred learning style, they are able to function and function well. All right, I know this one's controversial. Hey, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think, but do get the book and have a look at it. And I'll be back next week with another great podcast. Until then, keep on homeschooling.